episode of the Premium Pete Show has been brought to you by the good folks at Bevel.
That's right. Bevel is taking the grooming industry by storm, Miss Lissa. You know why? Because they got the state-of-the-art grooming equipment, the shaver, the razor, everything. I mean, listen, I love what they're doing. They're in Target, and they're also on getbevel.com/Pete. Head on over there. Get yourself a discount. Who don't like some discounts?
I don't know who doesn't like discounts, and I don't know who doesn't like Bevel, because 9 out of 10 barbers choose Bevel when it comes to their blades, because it's the only system clinically proven to prevent bumps, ingrown hairs, and anything that you don't want on your skin after you take the hair off.
Exactly. You want to listen, whether you're a lady.
That's right.
Whether you're a man.
If you a shimmy.
You want to be clean.
That's right.
And that's not only from the sneakers to the clothes. That's just from the face
to the chotch. Maybe even your feet. If you got hairy feet, I know Bevel's going to take care of that.
Stay clean, stay groomed. Go to getbevel.com/Pete. Now let's get to the show.
Ow.
Cheer.
Come on, everybody get set, let's go. It's the next episode. It's the Premium Pete Show. News, interviews, all of the info. Listen up, it's the Premium Pete Show. If you want the scoop in the low, down low, listen to the show, cause Milk said so. Fuck what you heard, better act like you know. Miss Lissa Knows. It's the Premium Pete Show.
Shorty, I'm here for you anytime you need me. For real, girl, it's me in your world. Believe me, nothing make a man feel better than a woman.
Shit.
Queen with the crown that be down for whatever. There are a few things that's forever. My lady, we can make war or make babies. Back when I was nothing, you had a brother feel like he was something. That's why I'm with you to this day. Boo, no frontin'. Even when the skies was gray, you would rub me on my back and say, baby, it'll be okay. And that's real to a nigga like me, baby. Never ever give my pussy away and keep it tight, aight? And I'ma walk these doors so we can live in a fat ass crib with thousands of kids. Word life, you don't need no ring to be my wife. Just take care of me and I'ma make sure we living in the
motherfucking life of luxury.
I'm realizing that you didn't have to fuck with me, but you did. Now I'm going all out, kid, and I got mad love to give. You my nigga.
Well, I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say, let's get to the motherfucking show.
I think that's perfect for our guests, too. Bring them on in.
Internets, listen, I'm so happy to welcome these two ladies and gentlemen. Lady and gentlemen, not ladies.
Two ladies.
Lady and gentlemen. Lady and gentlemen. It's February.
It's because you light skin trying to play you already. Soon we start the
Valentine's
show.
Day has already passed. Valentine's Day has already passed. But more importantly, I've been trying to have him and his wife on. And how do I make sure I say it? Gia Casey.
Yes.
DJ Envy. I'm not going to say his governor name. I'll let his wife say that. But more importantly, I wanted to have you all on because, you know, in a day where many people don't stay together, you know, I'm a divorcee, so to speak. And, you know, now I'm on my way back to another marriage. So, you know, I know how tough it is. And I think internets in this world today really need, with the podcast that you're doing, the Casey crew, is really needed. And the reason why I say that for is because you may think of it, even Gia, you may think of it as, you know, you're coming and, you know, because, you know, you just started with the podcast.
Right.
And, you know, first of all, you have a good voice for a podcast.
Thank you.
And she got a good everything for the podcast.
Okay. Well, the internets aren't seeing that. Only on Instagram. But here's the thing. You know, what you don't realize is you're talking with your husband, and you don't realize you're actually helping other people. People are getting some info. People are getting, you know, some lessons. Truth be told, people look for quotes or lessons to use in their life. Real talk.
Right.
Like, you know, I've had people hit me up over the years and ask me questions about being a single dad, how to deal with being a separated father, how to deal with, you know, taking care of your kid when you're not there all the time.
Right.
And I try to give the best advice I could give.
Right.
And I'm just one person. So, you know, truth be told, you guys having 5 kids have made yourself professionals. Real talk.
Absolute professionals.
Even if you weren't, you push your way into being a professional just by the experience.
Right.
Anyway, listen, internets, welcome Gia and
Mr. and Mrs. DJ Envy. Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Casey.
Yeah, all right. You
Okay, the
that.
Casey crew's in the fucking building.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So listen, how you like podcasting?
I love it. I mean, you know, we did it because we really felt that we could help people, like you said. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in relationships that, you know, they feel like they have nobody to talk to. And I always say this, you know, especially, with our community, being hip-hop community or minority community, there's nobody to talk to about certain things, you know. I always tell, like, you know, there was no guidebook to relationships. There was no guidebook to how to treat my wife or to how to to talk to my wife or to be a parent or to talk about problems in our relationship. You know,
or to be proud of your relationship, to be proud of your wife.
Yeah.
For women, it's different. You know, it's easy for a woman to boast about her relationship or about her husband, especially if he's doing something that other females might admire. But when a man is treating his wife or his girlfriend the way that she's supposed to be treated, he tends to kind of want to keep it to himself. He doesn't want to put his wife and kids on social media or call his wife baby or show signs of affection where people have a front seat, because that guy is typically kind of looked down on. So now with what we're doing and what I'm seeing other people starting to do, it's like, you know what, family and relationships are good now.
Right.
Like, it's something that you should be proud of.
Right.
If you're living right and you're treating your man right, you're treating your woman right, you're taking good care of your kids, it's nice to exemplify that, because what we're realizing now is that people are starting to use those relationships that they see as a reference point, and they're implementing those thoughts and those lessons in their relationships. And then the world starts to become a better place.
Of course.
Well, first off, right off the bat, you just met in high school, right?
Right.
Yes.
And I listened to your first episode, and it was a good episode. She had me dying because you spoke about how you met her at track.
Right.
And that she had double D's.
Yeah.
And you seen, as she was running, all you see was bang, 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 bang.
Bang, bang, bang. Yeah,
Yo, that
absolutely.
shit had...
Yeah, I mean, it was the truth. You know what I mean? And, you know, the funny thing about it is you know, she had double D's in high school. Now, her breast went down from there, but
The way you just said that.
He was sad.
That's why you have 5 kids. You have enough to feed 5 more.
Right. Well,
They've decreased in size. They haven't gone down.
Right. Well, they decreased
Correction.
in size. But she had double D's
Okay.
in high school, and that's what made me look at her. I'm like, wow, like, you know, she
It wasn't my glowing skin.
No, it was the double D's in that ass. It was bouncing. I was like, I need to meet her.
Yeah.
And that's where it started. That's what attracted me to her.
Yeah, and I like the way you said that you were persistent, that she was seeing somebody else, some swimmer. I didn't even know you were a swimmer.
I was a swimmer, yeah.
Trying to be Michael Phelps out here.
I was trying.
You know, but that he called you up and was like, yo, you got to make a decision. Either it's me or him.
Right.
And you turn around and say that turned you on, that he
Yes.
made you make an ultimatum.
Yes.
And you chose him. And now fucking how many years later,
Over 20 years.
you're still
22.
fucking here. But take us through that time of you being young, being courted like that, also being, you know, told, hey, listen, I really like you and I want to be with you. Like, how was it at that time?
For me, because I was actually really into the other dude.
And we don't care about this other dude.
No, I'm just
Damn
saying.
it, keep it a
no,
bean.
no,
Leave her
no.
alone.
What was his name? What was
Let
his
her
name?
keep it a bean.
Jonathan.
His name is Jonathan.
Okay.
Oh, you remember, yo.
I
You not
and
playing.
he
I remember everybody's name.
he didn't go to our school. He went to another Catholic high school near
okay,
ours,
okay.
and he approached me first. And I was the new girl at his school, so all the guys were trying to talk to me.
Talk to Gia.
Talk that Beyonce talk.
So I had my choice. So I wasn't really trying to get tied down with anyone at the time.
And you were young.
And I was young. I mean, I was only 15 years old. So when he came and he called us both up on three-way.
Oh,
And
you
was
a
like,
mean
It was
girl?
on three-way.
Damn.
And he
Oh,
was like, you
shit.
need to decide right now. And I got all like tingly inside.
Ow.
And I was like, oh, he's all manly.
Yeah.
I'm like, I choose you. And then it
That's
was
like
done.
some saved by the. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
You got to shoot your shot
Hey,
sometimes.
persistency. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, he said it. Persistency is key. But even more importantly, you know, like when we sit back and think, and I say to myself, like, listening to your podcast, getting to know you guys as a family, as a relationship, as parents, you know, you're sitting there talking about, you're like, yo, we should have another baby. There's times where he said we should have another baby. We'll go over all the kids, but you said
Right.
we should have another baby. But you know, when I think back to myself or other people, sometimes I think about financial status.
Right.
That held me back. Even people think about getting married. I know people say, "I'm not financial where I want to be, and I'll get married when I get financial." You'll never get there because once you get to a certain bracket, then you'll say, "I need to go more and more," and you'll never be there. So, you know, one thing I liked that I heard when Envy said, you know, we should have another baby, and then you're like, "Yeah, I don't know," and then he started arguing with you or something that you were like that you always needed like too much bells and whistles, like or you're like, well, we could think about it, maybe we'll talk back in a week, and you're like, why does everything got to be planned out? You know, let's just have another baby now.
But you know what? In life, we've been really lucky because that's been our whole life.
Our
Like
entire life.
it has no been. Well, let's plan this out. As yo, we should have a baby. You think so? All right, let's do it. That's what it's been.
Yeah.
Like, we should buy this car.
Yeah.
Really? That costs that much? Fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
We should buy this crib. That's how we've always
We're just
been.
very impulsive.
Okay, so saying that's great that you say that, because saying that, how do you, and you know, you've been successful and worked hard for it, but how do you put a cap on that? Because to be honest with you,
There's no cap.
You don't got no cap. We're not putting no cap. All the kids, no cap.
No, we
Life, but no
don't
cap.
cap anything.
But how do you know, like, okay, I'm gonna give you an example.
You jump first, worry about it later.
Okay,
What's your sign?
Aquarius.
Yup, and then the Virgo, yup.
We always jump first.
You can go hang out with an Aquarius with no money and have the most fun of your fucking life. Like, oh my God, we only had $3, and somehow y'all was in VIP.
We ate.
Y'all had a bottle.
We had gas.
Y'all done met the mayor.
Yes.
Like, how?
But you don't understand. You know,
Wait, you said we met the mayor?
but with our relationship, you know, we started from nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, absolutely.
Dirt.
Absolutely.
We lived in a basement where I tell a story where I would pee. And it's going to be disgusting. I would pee in the sink in the basement because there was the bathroom was upstairs, and I didn't want to go upstairs in the bathroom, so I would just pee in the sink.
I never heard that story.
Lazy
You used to pee in our sink? Awesome.
Yo,
Did you brush your teeth in there?
I wanna piss on you.
But that's what it was. So we, you know, for us, I don't want to say money doesn't mean anything, but it's not everything for us.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the crazy part about it is, and this is going to thank God, but no matter what we do, it seems like it just comes.
Yeah.
So we just live life. Like, we don't live our life based on money. We don't live a life based on anything. We get what we want. We get our kids what they want, and we just stay together as a family. So we just jump.
Yeah, you know, the only thing that scares me about, like, with money sometimes, and especially, like, you know, I'm in Jersey now, too, and it's a different life for these kids. And it's funny because I tell people this all the time. We try to give our kids a life that we never had. Right. We try to give them everything that we didn't have.
Right.
And then in the interim, we wind up spoiling them. You know, it's true. It's true what we do. You know, like, even I look at my daughter, she's 7, she's going to be 17. And man, it's a fucking roller coaster. I know you're at 14, your oldest.
She's 15.
Okay, 15. Okay.
15 and 13.
I mean, I see. Maybe it's a little tougher when you haven't been there all. I mean, I'm there. I mean, I'm totally in her life, but you're not fully there.
You don't live there.
I don't live there, and that has hurt me a lot. I feel like, as I like to be honest with you, growing up, and I used to give so much advice to a lot of single fathers.
Right.
And now I'm like, damn man, I think I need advice. Because
Envy,
this teenage shit is tough, you know. And
17-year-old girl or boy?
Girl.
Okay.
She's about to be 17,
and she's beautiful, so she out here riding around getting it.
Okay.
You know, just you know what?
Maybe not getting
you know what?
it.
Well,
But
no, definitely not getting it.
Okay, let's just be clear.
No, I mean, like, when you pop it, like, you right now, girl, I'm about to meet you at the mall.
Actually,
my father got sneakers for us, like, riding around getting it.
Actually,
You just
you
gotta
know
be
what?
clear. You know what I mean?
I want to say something funny. A Sweet 16, when it was a Sweet 16, shouts to Young Sav. We made a video for her with a bunch of people shouting her out, and Rick Ross was one of them. Yo, Rick Ross has no filter. Yo, in the video, it's like, yo, I want to give a big shout out to Skylar. Happy Sweet 16. Boss up. Keep on making that money, baby. And I'm like, making that money? Fuck, she's in school. What the fuck is she doing? You know? But you know, it's just tough. But you know, more so, I want to go right into kids about when we talk to them about having sex. And I always say, you know, and it's funny because I heard your podcast where you said that your parents didn't talk to you about sex.
Never.
Neither did mine.
Never.
You know, and I don't know why, because I wish they would have told me.
It's awkward.
Yeah, but at least you
Depends
give
on
it.
your household.
And what age do you start this?
No, Gia had this conversation 2 years ago with our kids.
2 years ago.
With both of the kids. I wasn't there. I walked in and walked out. I just couldn't hear that
Which
conversation.
children, like, how old were they?
My daughter was 13 and my son was 10, right?
Right.
Our son was 10, 11 years old.
13 and 11.
And she had this conversation, and the reason that we had this conversation, it was a girl in their middle school that was pregnant. So she wanted to have that conversation and to explain it. And like I said, I never had that conversation with my parents. They didn't teach me about sex. They didn't teach me about anything. So I kind of had to learn from older cousins, you know, them telling me that there was 2 holes in the vagina. You know, like, you're like, I really didn't know. I honestly didn't know. I tell the story all the time. The first time, I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed you. One of the first times we had sex and she squirted, I thought she peed on me.
Awesome.
And I was mad.
Great.
I was like, yo, you just peed on me.
Yeah, I felt that way when I had that happen. Or the quiff. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, the pussy fart. I was like,
you're passing gas in this sexy moment.
I was like, what's going on here?
Honestly,
you just gotta shake it.
I just didn't know. I honestly didn't know. I had no clue. But
no, but it was very contentious at that point because then I got up and he's like. And I'm like, dude, that means you did good.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, you peed on me. You peed on me.
Yeah, and I got up and I left his house.
Yeah, she was mad.
Yeah. I left his house.
I could see that.
Yeah. How old were you guys when you first had sex?
Well, we met when I was 15, he was 16, and then we waited for our 1-year anniversary. So I was 16 and he was 17.
What song y'all listening to? Wu-Tang? Like, what was going on back then?
Was it a special night?
What was it?
Flowers?
It was. He was actually about to leave for college, so that was kind of like my going away present.
Okay.
Like, here's something
Where'd you go to college,
me.
Jimmy?
I went to Hampton University.
The first HU.
But he made it very, very romantic.
Okay.
And whatnot. So it was
Did it last long?
No, not long at all.
I feel like my first time I was like in and out. I was like, oh shit, that was a mistake. Like, let me get another chance at this. Like,
but for him, he wasn't very experienced at that point. Yeah. So yeah.
So you guys both lost the V's together?
He actually lost his virginity with one girl before me, but he didn't finish.
Fuck that bitch.
So I don't know if you can call it like a complete.
Nah,
he didn't lose it. He misplaced it.
Delete that.
He misplaced his virginity.
Misplaced it.
Actually.
You know what? Let's go back to.
Sorry, Crystal.
Let's go back to.
Wait, you just dropped her name? You draked her? Did you just drake her?
You better unfollow her on Facebook.
My bad.
Yo, stupid.
Yes, Gia.
Let's go back to the conversation, if you don't mind sharing with the internet for other parents or other people who will be parents of that. Like, I'll explain mine. I have explained mine on this show, but explain that conversation you had with the kids about sex. Just like, because I want to be honest with you, and shouts to DJ Carl Kent. He helped me, like, talk to my daughter by, we had a long conversation, and he was explaining to me, like, just be real. I was trying to go around the corner, go underneath, take some shortcuts. He was like, be real. Like, speak about sex and the fact that, literally that, I mean, we don't have to say dick goes into a pussy, but be very real.
There are actual words, like dictionary.
If you don't mind sharing the conversation.
Of course not. Well, like Rashawn said.
H-U?
A girl at my daughter's school became pregnant.
Okay.
And at the same time, simultaneously, my son came to me with some misinformation.
How old was he?
He was 11.
Okay.
And the misinformation was so all over the place. His friend had discovered a bloody condom in their basement. And he got a version of how it became that way from his sister. And then all of that. Yeah, she knows.
She's not making up stuff.
Exactly.
The cactus is bleeding.
Right. So she told this little boy, who then started communicating all this information to Logan. And he came home so confused about sex toys, dildos, condoms, and why does sex involve blood?
What?
So, and he asks me, my son and I, my children and I are very, very close. We talk about everything. Everything is completely raw, unadulterated. I tell them the truth. I don't sugarcoat anything. And because of that, we've developed a very serious trust where they know if they ask me a question, I'm going to tell them the answer. So he came to me and he's like, what's this all about? And I'm like, it's time to have the talk. So I called Madison into the room. I'm like, all right, get popcorn, get some Lay's, get your sodas, get some water, get everything. Dip. Let's pile into the bed, get your blankets. We're going to talk. So it turned into a 2-hour conversation where I went from the very beginning, meeting somebody, falling in love with somebody, that being the proper and appropriate time to engage in sex with somebody. I told them I'd like to preach to you, don't have sex until you're married, but that's not the most realistic thing in this day and time. So I said, idealistically, that's what you'll do. But it may not happen that way. So as a close second, make sure that when you do engage in that kind of activity, it's with someone that you're in love with, because that's how God made us. That's why women become impregnated and reproduce with someone that they love, that should be there to help her take care of that child throughout their life. That is the ideal, and that's why our bodies are made this way. It may not always happen this way.
Was that from a Lady Gaga song?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No Gaga song. But I have a real question. So my daughter, when she was I want to say 6.
How old is she now?
She's 7.
Okay.
So maybe she was 6. So her cousin, who's also 6, so they were playing in the room. And then my daughter comes to me because I'm trying to build that trust, but I'm a little stricter than people think. Like, they think I'm silly, but I'm really, like, I don't play with her. Like, when somebody tells them, she's like, oh, mister. Like, and they're like, oh, because I'm not playing with you. So she comes to me and she's like, I don't want to say, she has something to tell you. So then the little girl's like, that's my little cousin too, but she's like, yeah, we're moving to LA. She's like, no. That's not what you had to tell her. I'm sorry. I cannot lie to my mother. So I'm like, what is it? So she's like, it's something about the SX word. So now I'm panicking. I take them into the room. And I didn't really want to have a crazy conversation with my daughter. But the little girl was like, my cousin, I don't want to keep calling her that. But she told my daughter that her 13-year-old cousin told her that sex is good for your body and sex feels good. I was not ready for a sex conversation. So that's why I'm asking you, like, how old is too old? Like, she was 7.
Were 11 and 13.
So I'm just like, yeah. So at 7, I didn't want to go into the in-depth, like, oh,
if she's asking questions
you
at
should have
7,
that conversation.
then you have that conversation
she
at
didn't
7. Because if not, she's going to get the information from someone
somewhere else.
and it's going to be the wrong information.
I told her some real stuff.
Therapist.
I told her that sex is not good for your body because when I Googled it said nothing about good for your body. It's not good for your body and you could die from sex. That's what I told her. I left it at that. I didn't lie to her.
You just took the shortcut.
Ain't no meeting right now. And I feel like we'll revisit that later. But I was like, it made me panic.
Don't panic. I never panic about anything. It doesn't matter.
Because you're an Aquarius.
I'm just very calm.
You're an Aquarius.
And I think about everything and I process everything before I speak about it.
Right.
You know, so with my kids, we went from there all the way to when you do fall in love, this is what the act of sex looks like.
And then when I walked in, they were talking anal sex, and then I turned back around and walked out.
Look what I wrote
Envy went and got scotch.
Look what I wrote right here.
Anal.
I'm ill. I'm telling you, Miss Lissa Knows. So you guys do that?
She doesn't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it.
Okay. No anal for Gia.
No, we've tried, but I'm
not
a big fan.
Let me tell you,
I think sex should be mutually enjoyable.
Yeah, they say that women, don't have that gland.
We
that
don't
the
have
guys
glands.
have.
So
the guys, they get
service.
off on that. But the women, we don't have it, so it doesn't feel good.
Well, you know what? Even for me, and this is just for me, this is some side note. For me, anal is not necessarily enjoyable. It's more like feeling overpowering.
Savagery.
Yes.
It's like savage. Like, I'm fucking the shit out of you, bitch. Take this shit. Take this dick. Take this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Sorry, baby.
So you have those. That's how you
you
stay together. You have to like do role play, right? And do these like
We do role play sometimes.
Yeah.
I fuck with the role play. I fuck with like a nurse or fucking I'm not feeling well. But I'll tell you one
You
thing.
make me feel
There was
better.
this lady. There was this girl that I was messing with back in the day. And we were dating for a while, and I'll never forget. That was like one of my first times that I was gonna be able to fuck a girl in the ass. And and the crazy shit is this is crazy shit. So I couldn't get it in her ass. I couldn't. So she was still giving me a chance to do it. So I was like, yo, I gotta I don't care what, I gotta make this happen. So she had Vaseline in her in her medicine cabinet. I don't even know if they call it that these days anymore.
They do.
But I was taking that shit like a pool stick. I was like, I'm gonna get in this motherfucker no regardless. Yo, I could not.
Did you ever get
in. Nah, I never got in.
Damn,
so I had to let that.
It was her first time?
It was her first time. Yeah. But she was like a champ. She was like, you keep on trying. And I was like,
she said you could keep on trying because you didn't get it in.
I couldn't get it in.
So yeah, she was optimistic in the beginning.
Yeah.
Once you got it in, she'd be like, fuck no.
Yeah.
Stop.
Get it out. Get it out.
Yeah.
But you know what? As we move on, we talk about kids and stuff like that. For me, having, and you let us know, and you let the internet know, having sex, like planned sex, isn't that corny? Isn't that like that takes the like
It
pregnant,
does.
Okay,
I
I'm
think
explaining
so.
to you.
Yes.
But let me explain a little more so the internet know. My first wife, when we wanted to have a kid, she was like, all right, let's have sex now. Because there was times where she would have sex, but it didn't feel like
sexy.
Like I had to stop everything I'm doing, and it didn't.
But you know the crazy thing, that was only for our 5th kid.
Okay, really,
and it did feel a little awkward. This is gonna sound stupid. We have 5 kids, but we didn't really know how to make a baby probably until the 4th kid.
No, I get that.
No, we knew by the
I didn't know the recipe until the 4th?
No, I didn't know that there was a particular time where a woman could get pregnant. We were just fucking.
Right.
Yeah,
we fuck.
Like you're talking about ovulating,
right?
And shit.
Yeah,
Yes.
Who the fuck knows these?
I didn't
things?
know that. Hey, we had sex. Oh, pregnant. Oh, we had sex again. Pregnant.
EPT.
Sex again.
How many
pregnant.
EPT tests did you guys buy throughout the career?
Oh my God! Throughout
Throughout your whole.
probably like 42.
See, we gotta. I want to be honest with you.
They come in like 3 packs.
Buy stock in EPT, whoever that
keep them
company
going.
is,
Yeah,
because
we
keep that
because
company
many
going.
of us, I bought so many hoping that it did show positive, and I bought so many hoping that it showed negative.
And there's another one. What's EPT? What's the other one called?
Pregnancy first.
Clear Blue Easy.
Clear Blue Easy.
Clear Blue
Or you
Easy.
can hit that 99-cent store and do
No,
it like
no,
the
God forbid.
It's like the drug.
It'll tell you that you're having an alien. Awesome.
Hit that store. Hit the variety store in your local neighborhood.
So obviously, people out there trying to get pregnant, they'll understand that. But planned sex, sometimes it just feels like it's like you're actually trying to make a baby, not have
At that
sex.
point, it just feels like you're doing a job. So
Yeah.
get in there, do your job, and then save sexy time for the next night. You know?
Another thing too, I think, is for someone who's been together so long, plus 5 kids. Again, we got to keep on mentioning because these are accolades when you think about it.
Thank you.
Not most definitely, but how do you keep the fire burning? And I will always say this, and I bring this up all the time. My aunt and uncle inspired me as a young age. Used to go out every Friday night, religiously, get dressed up, go out. I think when he came home, he used to have sex with her. Doesn't matter. They always spent that time with each other. And me being a person who was married and divorced, I've learned I was married young, and I learned that I wasn't mature enough. Neither was she.
Right.
And it didn't last. We had a kid, and that was the best thing that we created. And and I'm thankful for that. The kid changed my life. But more importantly, I wasn't ready for marriage. And, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't mature enough. I look back now, I say to myself, how do people keep the fire burning staying so long?
I mean, I think I would agree with you. I think a lot of times you really don't know what love is. And I would have to say that with this relationship, I kind of say like Gia molded me to who I was. Because I was an asshole. Like, you jump in this industry and you really don't know what to expect. And you get a little name, you start feeling yourself.
Most definitely.
And she kind of stayed there and molded me and says, well, I know you have this trait to be a better man, so we're going to do this together, which most women would have said, like, fuck out of here, I'm out, nigga, one.
Yeah.
But she wasn't like that. And to keep, the best thing that ever happened to me was making Gia a part of my life. At first, I had 2 different lives. I had DJ Envy and then Rashawn Casey.
Yeah.
And it created a lot of rift because she wasn't part of my life. When I made her part of my life where we're going out together, we're enjoying each other, not just at home with the kids, but, we were in Houston a couple of weeks ago for Super Bowl, and Gia was in the dirty strip clubs with me.
Yes.
I seen a drunk as a
dirty
skunk.
like dirty strip club.
Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
But then we were in the bougie spots. But then we were in, I had 10 shows in like 3 days.
Damn.
And 2 broadcasts. So it was moving. Like, it was no Del Frisco, Oceanair.
Yeah.
This was Carl's.
Yeah.
This was straight up and down Jack in the Box.
Yep.
This was straight up and down whatever
Yep.
burger. And those are the experiences that is fun. Like, we go eat a whatever burger, take 2 shots, and then we fucking and then get back up and do a live broadcast.
I love you
Just
guys.
like that.
Sorry.
I
Just like
know,
that.
no,
But-
in
Gia,
that order.
This is how you do it, Gia. Yes.
But that's what it
Hey,
was.
listen, just for our Houston folks that
Not
are
the
listening,
Houstons.
is Whataburger.
What a burger. What I said? Whatever burger?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's what a burger.
He know he a fat nigga. He like, wait a minute, Rick Ross.
No, I just don't.
You gotta say
I just
it
don't
right.
want one thing. I tell this to Charlamagne too. One thing, and this is part of becoming successful is what I see. Anything that Envy says, like in the YouTube, the comments, they have me dying because I like when he does with the Breakfast Club, and when you may tell people, tell the people what you exactly do. Right? You know how they, now they try to
Right.
make
Ask
a
a question,
joke of that.
right, yeah.
They try to make
Right.
a joke of that, like a porno star. Say if you had a porno star on, and they're like, tell the internet who don't know what
What's a
exactly
porn star?
what does a porn star
Yeah.
do. So they make fun of you. But so you pronouncing something different in this day and age, people they try to fucking correct you. I mean, if
Right.
you tweet something that is so positive, but you spelled like a little letter wrong,
Yes.
people won't say.
Or when you're
word-
getting at somebody, Pete, and you're spelling it wrong, that's when they pull in your car. We all caught that. But we saw
I did
that.
so?
Yeah, remember? That's what you're talking about. You on the net going after the internets.
Oh, who knows? I
You
don't know.
going after them. We saw you.
But where were we? Were we talking about?
just keeping the
And then going to In-N-Out Burgers and you hit them with the burger spot.
Keeping the relationship
How
fresh.
do you get
Keeping
it?
it
How do you
spicy?
how do you keep it spicy? How?
Well-
Because don't get me, it's so much more in a relationship than sex.
But
and I
That's
realized
a big part. What are you talking about?
I realized that as I gotten older. Like there's so much more in a relationship than sex. Like you said, making her part of your life, her teaching you things. I honestly, listen, I think about it now with my lady and how she's helped me like build my credit, teaching me about becoming like a first time homeowner, like things I never did before. So I'm like, yo, this girl really like helping me, like literally like being there and teaching me. So you're right. So there's more things than sex. Sex is an extra thing, and I love it. Of course, I want it all the time. But the point I'm trying to make
is fundamental.
No, but when I say how do you keep the fire burning is because think about it. It's one pussy, and it's one dick for a long time.
Right.
Think about it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I love my lady, but they always use that line that says there's no better pussy than new pussy. But that doesn't have to be true.
Right.
But that's what people say.
I feel like that's a part of marriage. I'm not even gonna lie. I feel like even like your grandparents. If your grandparents been together like 60 years, if you think for 1 second your grandfather never needed to get checked, please believe your grandmother went through some shit. Like, it's a part of the game. Like, Claire Huxtable, they ain't showing she was going through his black book. Because, back in the day, they didn't have no phone. So...
Yeah, but Bill was doing some other things with that book.
She had to... No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Gloopy bloop.
But I think that it's like you have to reinvent the hoo-ha.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Now you putting paint on it? What you doing?
There was a time where, before I had laser and I'm like completely hairless, but there was a time where I had it cut into the shape of a heart.
Yes, I love it.
Do you know what I mean? But
you light skin, no, I can't do that. I'm like a black heart. Black hearts matter.
That shit look like a raccoon to do that.
But
Throwing the red.
It's like you have to do things to keep it young and fun and interesting, and you kind of have to be down for whatever, as long as it's safe.
That's a fact.
Do you know what I mean? You have to.
Yeah,
I think for women, it's very important to keep yourself up and to always look sexy and attractive, dress nice, smell nice, keep your hair done, keep your nails done, put on lipstick if it's just him coming home. Be cute, be attractive, because
don't get lazy.
Don't get lazy.
I wrote a whole song about it.
No granny panties, no sweats all the time. If they're going to be sweats, they should be cute sweats. If they're going to be pajamas, cute pajamas, not pajamas from 5 years ago that got bleach on it or that has milk stains or anything from feeding the kids, because that gets monotonous, that gets old. And at the end of the day, we're human beings. We're human beings, and we're attracted to what looks good, what feels good, what smells good. That's what we're attracted to, and we can't help that. So if you're a woman or a man and you're not taking care of your body and you're not looking appealing, then it's human nature for the person that you're with to look elsewhere. They may not indulge, but they're probably going to be thinking about that person when they're with you. So it's actually our jobs to keep up with ourselves.
And not only that, with something that you said earlier that I think, bothers me, that I try to change so much. Growing up, you're so used to hearing what other people say and what your peers say, and that was a saying. Oh, ain't no better pussy than new pussy.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, but people believe that, and that's not necessarily true.
Exactly, that's what I said.
What I mean? So, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do the podcast, is because, people are followers in this world. They follow what they see. They follow what their favorite celebrity's doing, whether they believe it or not. A kid right now is going to drink scissor because they see their favorite celebrity doing, not knowing that scissor can cause all types
brain
of
damage
reactions.
and you to die.
Brain damage,
epilepsy.
seizures.
I mean,
epilepsy.
look at this girl. What'd she say? Fucking catch me outside. How about that?
Yeah. The girl from Dr. Phil.
She got 3 million fucking followers on Instagram.
Right.
But what I'm saying, it's hopeless fame.
Right.
Hopeless attraction. People look to somebody like, damn, I wish I had 3. Like that? You want to like that?
Like the D's nuts guy.
But that's a problem, because there's no positive role models, and the positive role models, in my opinion, don't look like me. You know what I mean? Like, my dad saying, hey, you do this, that, and the other. My dad don't look like me. So now you got somebody like myself that looks like me. Damn, that's envy. He's from Queens. He drives a Rolls Royce and has his jewelry on, and he has his fucking wife in the strip club. That's what I want to do. Yeah. And that's what the influence of the whole podcast came about, and why we say, these are the things that we show. So for us, our relationship is dope because, we're in the strip club. My wife is paying for a lap dance for me. You know what I mean? Where she's still like, we had the strip club the other night. We had the dirty strip club. It's like, you want a lap dance? I'm like, no, fucking not.
You want the dream?
Not these bitches.
Do you guys dabble like that though?
I was like, I could find a cute one.
I feel like that's part of some fun.
No, we
marriages should
when you
do.
say dabble, like we pay for a lap dance, but we ain't bringing all the bitch
not
in the
the
room.
stripper.
Nah,
but
no
I'm saying
threesome.
you never
no threesome.
Not in the whole 22 years.
Never.
Hey,
never.
listen,
I feel like that would fuck it up.
I would never. I can fantasize about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's fantasized about it, but I would never introduce that. Into
I'm too
my
jealous to
marriage.
have another bitch in my
Even a female? You right, because you're the three-way call.
with my wife.
You're not playing.
With my wife, nah. You know what it's
Wait, you'd be jealous
That's what
if
I'm
we had
saying.
another female.
You
in the
heard
room?
what he said,
Yeah,
Tina. Eat the cake.
absolutely. See, this is what you got to
Explain.
understand.
We haven't had this
You are my
conversation.
wife. Like, if you was just a bitch I was fucking and it was another bitch, then y'all just bitches I'm fucking. But
Who
you are my
cares?
wife.
Okay.
Like this bitch might turn you out and fucking leave.
Like, ooh.
Fuck
You be like, envy who?
But it's
Exactly.
not cheating because she's a female.
Nah,
It
fuck
ain't
that.
cheating if you're eating.
Nah, fuck that. Nope.
So you wouldn't have it. So even if I came to you and I was like, you know what, I think that we should, turn it up a level and try something new.
First of all, I would think it's a setup.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely a setup.
No okie dokes here.
Yeah. And second of all, fuck no. Mm-mm. I'm good.
Okay.
But you thought about it. You just ruined a little thought.
I think it's
She was
okay
good
to
for
fantasize
25.
about whatever. Because again, we're human beings,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when people, and you asked another, how do you keep it going? Like, we're honest.
Yeah.
We're honest about things. Once you start lying and trying to be someone you're not because you think that the person that you're with wants you to be that person, things start getting lost in translation.
Yeah. Right.
You don't know who you're really with. Like, no, I'm going to tell you what turns me on. You tell me what turns you. Don't worry about my feelings getting hurt because I've already trained myself to not have feelings when it comes to things like that. Like, I'm not going to feel anything. You tell me the truth. I'm going to be honest with you, and then we're going to make our relationship better
Now, this
based
took
on
time.
those truths.
This took
Of
time.
course.
Right.
Like I don't know.
But there's
like
nobody
you said,
to tell you these things.
Right, like you said,
you know what I mean?
You heard our podcast. Like, what hurt my heart was when she told me she faked orgasms.
How dare you, Guy?
That shit fucked me up.
How
Like,
fucking
because you
for
think
him.
you think you putting it down, and then she comes like, "Nigga, I was faking." I was like,
I didn't say it like that.
I was like, how many
Those-
times?
That was
upset
not my
with you.
I was
vocabulary.
like, how many times? She's like, all of them.
She's like, you like that time
Not
that I
all
had
of
you
them.
climbing the wall? That time too.
all of them.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
But that's how it makes you feel. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
the fuck? So now it makes you
Yeah.
overly sensitive.
Now envy at the
when
gym, lifting weights.
So what? Yeah, exactly. So when she come now, you be like,
Did that was real?
did you real come? Did you really?
You checking it, huh? Make sure you ain't pee on a nigga. Hold on.
Exactly. Exactly. But you
No,
know,
but I swear, every time after that I actually did have an orgasm, he looked at me with an attitude.
Yeah.
Like there was an attitude
Gotta
at
make sure
the
she ain't
end.
lying.
Like he laid next to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you was so good." He was like, "Yeah, whatever,"
Because
because he didn't know whether I was
whether it
being
was
truthful
real or
not.
fake. Well,
yeah,
being that you say that, it brings me to say this. In relationships, even my relationships now, we all through as men or women go through them. You get into arguments and you fight, and sometimes you stay in that doghouse for a couple of days, sometimes for a couple of hours. I think the reason why there's a couple of reasons. The reason why I got divorced when I was young was because when we fought, it really stuck. There were times where it was like 2 weeks we didn't talk to each other. No, we weren't both mature enough to fucking figure it out. Now, even with my lady now, we got a kid. We got things to talk about. We may be mad at each other, but we need to talk.
Right.
What car are you taking this morning? What garage? We
Right.
gotta figure the fucking shit the fuck
Right.
out. Okay. But what I'm saying is, even then, like sometimes she holds on to things. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you argue with your lady, learning how to let things go, and still bringing things up. I get that a lot.
ours is pretty easy. I mean, the longest we've ever gone without speaking or being mad, I would say, is probably the next day. Like, we don't really let things affect us
Yeah,
in
I
that
don't think it's ever been
situation.
more than
You know
a
what I mean? And that's all it's pretty much been. And it's usually, us bringing up the conversation, having the conversation, which sometimes is an 8-hour conversation, which I fucking just want to just kill me. But after that 8 hours is gone and we finish talking about it, things are back to normal. I'm back to being Pookie, she's back to being Baby, and we good.
Well, okay, first of
Pookie,
all,
did you always know that Baby was gonna be like at this level?
That Baby was going to be at the
Who's
Baby?
Pookie? Who's Baby?
Oh, he's Pook.
Okay.
What is
Did
wait?
you
Wait.
always
First
know
of all,
that
what does
Pookie was gonna
Pookie
be at
mean?
this
What is
level?
that?
Oh, no, I never. When we were younger, I never really looked too much into the future.
Right.
Or I didn't worry about whether his aspirations were going to come to fruition or not. We just kind of lived one day after the next. And as things built, they just built. There was no expectation for me. Because, I mean, what he does, it's like 1 in 20 million. It's very difficult. There's only 2 major urban stations in the tri-state area.
Longevity-wise, too. People don't do it that long.
And there's only so many slots.
Yeah. Right.
There's only a handful of slots on those 2 stations.
Yeah.
And then for his show to get syndicated and be in 80 different markets, I could have never foresaw that. You know, I could never say he's going to make it one day and he's going to buy me a big house. There was no way to tell. He could have not made it on any radio station and just DJing clubs on the weekends.
Well, and also,
that
too,
could have been our life.
Also, too, I want to give you an example of what people think. Me and my daughter were at the nail salon. Her friend and her mother were there, and her mother was talking to me, and she was talking about her son. Son's 19 years old. And I said, how's he doing? He's a good kid? Yeah, he's a DJ, but he's got to realize it's not a real job. You know, he needs to get a real job. And I was like, I have friends that make millions of dollars that are DJs. You know, and she's like, really? Is that possible?
You got in a conversation? You extra. I love
we
you.
were talking with each other. But what I'm saying is, you know, it's like people, it's like almost like, I'm sure your parents like, really, you want to be a DJ?
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you know, that was part of the reason why I think Gia and I got even so close, and Gia's mother. Is when I graduated out of Hampton, you got to think, my parents put me through Hampton University.
Yeah.
They paid for half, I paid for half. And when I graduated, I looked at them and be like, all right, I'm going to be a DJ.
What was your major?
Marketing.
Okay.
So they looked at me
They're
like I
what
was
the
crazy.
fuck are you doing?
Yeah, they was like, no, we need you to get a hat, get some health insurance, and go get a job. And
Get behind a fucking desk.
That's what they thought. And I was like, no, I want to be a DJ. So they didn't necessarily support it. And then when they started seeing the money coming in, that's when everybody started to change. But with anything else, I mean, you could be whatever you want in life, but you got to put the work in. I still work like I'm 18 years old.
Yeah.
I still grind out like I have nothing. And I will continue because I really enjoy it. You know, people just see it now because of social media. But, you know, I bought my first Bentley at, 21? 22 years old. 22 years old.
You know, that's one thing I will say. You always found a way, even before Breakfast Club, you know, and, you know, I met you many years ago, you know, and you always found a way to make fucking money. Even like, you know, I swear to God. Like, I remember.
One thing he's always
you always found a way. Like, what'd you have that company? Was it Block
Block Gang, yeah.
Block Gang? Yeah, I remember you were fucking taking
the baby blocks.
Yeah, you know, you were in a magazine that you had in front of like a Lambo or something. Like one of your Lambos.
It was Dub magazine.
Yeah.
And then the Source magazine, yeah.
Some shit, but you always found a way to make fucking money. You always found a way to make fucking money. And that I applaud you about, because that takes a hustle, it takes a grind, and you made it in a time where it wasn't as easy.
Still not easy.
You know, but how does that feel as a son to be able, I'm sure you've done, your father was a cop, right? I'm sure
police officer.
Retirement, I'm sure he lives okay. But I'm sure you've been able to do some things for him that he's not able to do. You know, like, how does that feel?
I mean, you know what? It feels great, and not only for my mother and my father, it feels great for my son, and I'm gonna explain why. You know, like I said, you know, my dad and my mom worked for Guardian Life Insurance. My dad was a police officer, retired after 30 years of service, but that was big, but it was nothing to me. And the reason I say it was nothing to me is because I wasn't taught how to invest. I wasn't taught how to own my own. I was taught how to work for 30 years, retire, and live off your retirement and live regular.
Social Security, yeah.
Right. And where I live now, these parents are teaching their kids how to invest. Invest in stocks, invest in real estate, invest in tech, invest in this. And I had to figure that out on my own. You know, I had to figure out, you know, I've owned a car wash. I've owned a sneaker store. I own a juice bar. You know, I own part of a soda company. You know, me and my wife own so many different things that we just try. And the dope thing about it is our kids learn. Right. You know, I got a 13-year-old son that makes money off of playing Madden. You know, he wins Madden, wins coins, and then sells coins to grown-ass adults for cash.
Hustler.
It got to the point where he was using my PayPal, and I was getting $400 or $500 a week in my PayPal. So I'm like, no, you're going to have to show me what you're doing. 'Cause to me, it looks like you're selling drugs. And he showed me what he was doing, and I was like, he's learning that because he's watching his mom and dad hustle.
Sure.
And, you know, you said something before about kids being spoiled. Yeah. Spoiled doesn't mean that you give a kid everything that they want. Spoiled means you give them everything that they want, and they don't value it because it came so easy, because they didn't have to work for it. And because of that, they expect more and more and more, and that builds a sense of entitlement.
Sure.
That's what spoiled is. With our kids, they're the least spoiled kids on the planet.
Which is surprising.
Yes, it's very surprising. They have a lot.
Sure, they have a lot, yeah.
But they know what it is to work for it. They know what it is to earn it. You have to have good behavior. You have to have good grades. You have to have manners. You have to do a series of things.
Well, that
in
comes
order
with a good parenting
to
structure.
But you have to teach them those
most
things.
definitely.
My kids can't just come to me and ask me for something, because
Yeah.
the first thing I'm going to say is, okay, well, what did you do to deserve it?
My son wanted one thing for Christmas.
Wow.
And that's crazy because he's 13. He can have whatever he wants. He's like, Dad, I just want a pair of Yeezys.
Yeah, right?
That's all he wanted.
That's literally
He's-
all
he
he
ain't a
wants.
little hype
That
beast.
and to go to a football game.
And go to a football game.
And he
Okay,
wants
nice,
to go to a
nice.
football
And the only
game.
reason he
Giants.
wanted Yeezys is because he seen me wear them. He's like,
Yeah.
Dad, I just want the sneakers you wear.
Yeah.
And I just want to go to Giants game.
You know-
And we missed the Giants game because the flight got delayed. It was in Green Bay. And we missed the game, so he was sick. So I had to, and this is part of what we do as a kid. So we missed the game. I mean, and we were so sick because we dressed crazy. We had long johns, extra long
Yeah.
johns, sweatsuit.
Mambo is crazy.
jeans,
The little
everything.
mask, like the ski mask.
So the flight got canceled. So I went back to the house. I turned the air conditioner on in the basement, opened up all the windows, and I made our basement like Lambeau Field, like freezing. But he enjoyed that so much more because he got time to spend with his pops. He don't care about sneakers. He don't care about clothes. My son will wear the same swish pants every day. He don't give a fuck about none of that, which is dope to me because as a kid, I wanted the new J's. I wanted to do this.
You wanted everything.
I wanted
when I
everything.
was
My
a
kid
kid,
don't
I
care.
wanted everything.
He told me he would never buy. My son said, Dad, we were driving in a Ferrari, and I was like, I was pulling up to the crib. He's like, I would never drive a Ferrari. I would never want a Ferrari. I'm like, why not? He was like, it's too much money. I just want a Jeep. I'm like, what? I'm like, you're not my son.
Yeah, get out.
I was like,
Get out.
He's like, that's just me, Dad. I don't want that. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
they're
like
very
that.
low key, and it's funny because when my first daughter, when she was young, she was like my little doll. I would buy her Gucci bags and Louis Vuitton bags, and then as she started getting bigger, she's like, I don't want this.
Right.
And I'm like, why not? She's like, because then I have to carry it, and that's what I have pockets for. And I was like, where'd I get
That's
you?
crazy. First
like,
off,
where'd you come from? And then just last year, she's getting a little bit older. She's like, Mom, I think I'd like to have a Louis Vuitton bag. So I said, all right, well, if you want one, on our nanny's day off, you have to work. You have to get up. You have to help me with the babies, help me give them their baths, help me make the breakfast. You have to work for it. I'm like, then when you pull together about $1,300, I'll put in the other $1,300, and then you can get your bag.
Wait a minute. Didn't she borrow the money from the son? You said that.
Oh, yes.
Don't we-
Yes.
She
Well,
ain't
that
work.
was her first thing. She was like, all right, well, if I borrow some from Logan because he was making so much money
over
with
here.
his business, I can get it ahead
Extortion.
of time.
Young
and then
entrepreneurs.
I
Make it
can
later.
pay back Logan with the money that I make. So it was a whole thing.
They learning.
So
Yeah, they learn.
she earned her $1,300. I mean, I was paying her a premium. I have to say, I was paying her probably $200 a day for her
Look, the
help.
lady.
No, I mean,
Internet
it was
skid
more
application.
about the
Look,
lesson.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. It's
Yeah.
3 kids, so it ain't that easy. It's 3 baby. Remember, we got a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
And then the 13-year-old and the
Are y'all done?
15-year-old.
Maybe we say we done now, but
Well,
you never
we
know
told
what
you were
happens.
impulsive, though.
It might be a drunk,
so I don't know.
It might be a drunk night, and then
yeah, but
love this.
if Envy talks a certain way, that's it. He'll say, we're going to have a fucking baby now. Yo, actually, let's take a break. But before we take a break, we're going to come back with the Casey crew, Gia and DJ Envy. I'm not saying Rashawn, Casey.
Okay.
It's not my-
Leave that to me.
Who the fuck is your photographer?
Okay, what pictures?
Okay.
You talking about like
Let me tell you something, okay? I'm a family guy.
Okay.
I love being a father. I love being. I love that shit. Okay. I preach this whole presence over presence and being there. Where presence is more valuable than giving gifts. That picture you have. First of all, the Versace picture is crazy. But the picture you have of
thank
all
you.
the kids and the little fucking baby in the corner. Who's your photographer? Do you want to shout them out?
Well, those are professional pictures. So our photographer has been our longtime photographer. Her name is Linda Marie, and on Instagram she's images_by_Linda. @Linda_Marie.
Oh my God, so many underscores.
Yes.
She's trying to get a date. Nobody's remembering
Images
that.
by Linda Marie. And what I love about her is that she's so patient.
Yeah.
Because she knows if she gets the perfect photo for me, I'm going to buy everything.
Let me tell you something.
She will take 8 hours to take our family photo.
Some of the best photos I ever seen.
Oh, thank you.
They be battling Fab's family.
But anyway, listen.
Well,
we see y'all.
But those photos, like the vacation photos, their family photos, that's just somebody probably passing by that I hand. And people
and
like,
hold up.
People are like, you travel with your photographer? I'm like, you think I flew my photographer to the Maldives so I can have some cute Instagram pics?
Now, this is our son that just called right now. Logan.
Yeah?
What did you just say?
I got a B on my Spanish test.
He got a B on his Spanish test.
Congratulations, Logan.
We're doing a podcast. They said congratulations.
Listen, Logan, I spoke to Pops.
Thank you.
He's going to buy you a new pair of Yeezys just because of that, okay? The new Yeezys that are coming out.
You heard him? He said, I'm going to buy you a new pair of Yeezys because you got a B.
Exactly. Did that. I worked so hard for this test.
Aww. All right, Bobo. I'll call you later.
Log.
Okay, bye.
That's so sweet. I need a son.
Listen, you know what I like about that? Because you made yourself successful. You made yourself wealthy as a family. And then, some people may listen and say, their fucking kids are probably spoiled. And then you explain how they're not.
Yeah.
And then you just got proof of how.
Because God is working.
Yeah, hey, listen, God is
hold
working.
on, Logan. Do a little phone and friend, please.
Right.
But you know what? Let's take a quick break.
Take a break.
What were you
I was going to say that the thing with him is he has a hard time with Spanish. And but like real difficult. Like, and it's crazy because Gia has a little Puerto Rican and Nan is Spanish. He just don't get Spanish. I couldn't get Spanish. So he really goes extra hard to study for Spanish. Like, we make cue cards, we make index cards, we do everything we possibly can. We watch Dora the Explorer, anything we can.
Swiping on swiper.
So for him to get a B, he's ecstatic. Like, he calls me at 9:30 at night. Dad, I got a B.
I think he said B+.
That means he checked it online. That means that they're probably posting the grade at a particular time. And
I'll tell you one thing. Your son will learn Spanish if he starts messing with these Spanish girls these days, because once you mess with a Spanish girl, I feel you can learn some Spanish, even if it's ay papi.
Exactly.
But anyway, internets, listen. You listen to the Premium Pete Show with Miss Lissa Knows. The Casey crew is here.
Ow.
We're talking love, life, relationships, just real life shit, parenting, and also the ups and downs and struggles. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Cheer. Internets, you already know this episode is brought to you by the good folks at Bevel. Go to getbevel.com/Pete. Get yourself some discounts. See what they got going on over there. Listen, Nas already told you. It's a major key.
Because his signature fade is with the bevel blade.
Yes, it is. And I tell you, I just love overall Bevel, what they have done for the podcasting world, but more importantly, what they have done as a business. I mean, like I said, they're on the shelves of Target. Every time I see them on the shelves of Target, I always see only like one or two left, whether a grooming product, a razor, a brush, a cream. So, listen, Bevel is doing their thing. So head on over to getbevel.com/Pete. Check out what they got going on. Check out what they have to offer. And also get yourself a discount while you're at it.
Ow.
Now listen, let's get back to the show. Cheer. You know what? Being a parent to a teenage daughter is like trying to nail Jell-O to the wall. Mm-hmm. Ain't happening. But it's a beautiful fucking thing.
Now, that's a tough one because I feel like, luckily we haven't gone through that with our kids because like you said, I'm the cool dad. I'm the young dad.
Yeah, most definitely.
I'm the dad that's gonna curse. I'm gonna, I take my kids to the team party.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm that type of dad. But I know it's gonna get to a point where my daughter's like, Dad, drop me off in the back.
Yeah.
And
you think so?
And I'm gonna be hurt. I hope not.
You think that's gonna happen?
You DJ Envy. She like, please pull up.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter. Listen, when Drake has kids, they're gonna look at him like that too.
They want the pull
No,
up.
like people don't realize. They don't look at their dad like that. That's dad. He's
your kids don't think you lit?
Yo, how about this? I brought my daughter.
Kids definitely think I'm lit.
I'm saying. They like, please pull up.
Yeah, but
you understand, I'm a big kid too. Like, she has to check me. Like, I'm the type to, like, riding the quads in the street is illegal. Riding the go-karts in the street is illegal. I'm the type to, we riding the go-karts. I got the kids in the back. They hanging off. We driving. And then she'll call me and be like, yo, what are you doing?
It's because you got that car.
I'm like, what you mean? She'll be like, you're riding a go-kart in the middle of the street with no helmets on. Get your ass back here. I'll be like, the fun police call, guys.
Oh my
you know what I
God.
mean? But that's me. I'm the one that's at the teen club with my daughters dancing.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're looking at me like, Dad, can you please go back over there? Like, that's just me.
Well, dancing is crossing the line.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I went to the movies. When my daughter went to the movie, we were already rolling. But when I went to the movies with my daughter, I sat in the back when she had a boyfriend. And she would come in the back. She's like, Dad, what are you doing here? Get the fuck, like, not get the fuck out.
Right. But
get out.
that was the sentiment behind it.
And
Right.
I was like,
That's
I'm watching the movie. What are you talking about? I was like looking over at her, make sure. I was.
That's a little too.
Yeah,
far,
it was the
man.
first time. It was the first.
My son
time.
just went on a date. What?
Yeah, but a boy
Last
is
week,
different.
as a boy.
A boy is different.
My daughter's been on dates. As long as I could pick them up, you got to trust them. Like you said, you drop the jewels. You got to be like, all right, I gotta hope that my daughter is doing the right thing, because when she goes at her friend's house, there's no guarantee she's at her friend's house.
Yeah.
The best thing that I can tell you, and I mean, I can't even stress it enough, and I don't even know if I'm going to get my point across as strongly as I want to. It's really the communication between you and your kids. Your kids have to feel. When I was coming up, my parents were so cool, but not loosey-goosey type of cool, not like, but I felt like I could tell my parents anything. So when my parents gave me advice, like if I wanted to go to a party, if my dad said, you don't want to go to that party, I would be like, ooh, I must not want to go to that party, because I trusted them. They weren't the type to tell me no for no's sake. If they told me no, that meant that they thought about it, they processed it. They weren't just giving me one-word answers because they didn't want to be bothered. If I had an issue or a problem, my parents looked at me like, all right, well, how are we going to solve this? They didn't look at me like, oh, I'm so disappointed. How could you do that? How could you say that? How could you get that grade? How could you? Nothing. It was, all right, that's what happened. Now how are we going to fix it? Do you know what I mean? So with that
definitely.
repertoire between myself and my parents, I listened to them and I respected everything that they told me, literally.
And we talk to our kids crazy. Like, don't get it. Like, we talk to our kids like they're our age. Like, my son, right before he just called and said he got a B. Right before that, he got a D on a test. He came out to school, and I could see he's fucked up. I could tell in his face he's fucked up. So I'm like, what's up? He was like, nothing. And I'm like, yo, what's up, man? Come on, what's going on? I ain't got time to play. He's like, yeah, I got a D on the test. I'm like, you just gonna cry about it like a little bitch? You got a D, let's keep it moving. Like, all right, you got a D, we'll worry about it next time, all right? You good? And he's looking at me like, really? I'm like, you tried, right? You tried hard? We'll get it next time, all right? And he's like, wow.
Next time we'll hire a tutor.
But that's how I talk to them. Like, no matter what, like, it could be a game and he missed a shot or he missed a pass, and he come to me and he looks like he gonna cry. To me, I'm like, my nigga, you really gonna cry?
Yeah.
And Gia's like, don't talk to him like that. I'm like, you really gonna cry? I'm like, if you gonna cry, cry.
Just don't use the N-word.
I can't take it.
Like, you're too familiar.
And then he's like, but it gives him a feeling like, damn, like, my dad don't care. He just brushes it off and he keeps it moving.
Yeah.
And that's what I teach them. And no matter what it is in life, like, I just have real conversation. Like, and they understand everything. One night I came home drunk. This was actually our last baby shower. And Puerto Rican Rob came to the baby shower.
Not Puerto Rican Rob.
Yeah, Puerto Rican Rob came and got me past drunk to the point where I don't
Right,
remember.
because it was his fault.
Yes, I don't remember the night. Like, you ever get that drunk where, like, I understand how a girl can get raped and not remember. Because if somebody raped me, I wouldn't have known. Like, honestly, I don't remember that 5-hour block. But anyway, I get home and I walk up the stairs and there was my wife's Christian Louboutin shoes were on the floor with spikes, and I almost stepped on them. And I fell. And my son started laughing at me, right? So I was like, get the fuck out of my room. So they ran out the room, right? So then Gia comes upstairs and tries to get me undressed to get to the bed. So I'm like, leave me alone. So she's screaming at me, yelling. What were you saying?
I was like, get your shit together. Get your shit together.
My kids come running back in the room like, Ma, can't you see he's drunk? Let him live.
Dress him in the morning.
But that's how our family is. Like, we're kind of dysfunctional. Like, my son will come in the room and be like, Ma, and then run out the room. Like, we are a dysfunctional, loving family. But it makes us.
But we communicate. Put it this way. Our communication level is so like something else than I've ever experienced. If we get into an argument, let's say he had a long week, and let's say he snaps at me, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so that's what's not going to happen in this house. And then we get into a big thing. And let's say my kids might hear it down the hall or whatever. Even if we're not yelling and screaming, they can always tell when there's contention in the house. We have a thing where you always have to take accountability for when you're wrong. we don't leave an argument on the table. At the end, somebody's apologizing for something. Accountability has to be taken so that you can move on. You know what I mean? So once that's happened, we take that opportunity to teach our kids a lesson. So then we'll bring the kids in the room, sit them on the bed, and then Rashawn will say something like, all right, so you see what you just heard? And they'll say, yeah. He'll say, well, you know what? Daddy was working all week. Daddy was tired. Daddy snapped at mommy, and that wasn't wrong. I had to apologize to her. So Logan, this is your opportunity to learn what the way that you don't treat a female. And Madison, this is your opportunity to learn what not to take from a man. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we take every opportunity, things
ego.
that are going on in our lives, to teach our kids from it, because we want them to take those fundamentals through life.
Would you guys ever do reality TV? Cause y'all could give T.I. and Tiny a run, because they ain't about to get a divorce anyway. So y'all could just slide right in.
We got a couple of offers and people asking, and that's
Hopefully not Love and Hip Hop.
No. I mean, like,
Not
their
Love and
own
Hip-Hop.
show.
Yeah,
Like,
our
I
own
mean,
show.
like Casey Crew.
Yeah, absolutely. We've gotten a lot of people that showed inquiries, and that's something that we're thinking about, and we probably will do.
Yeah.
But we just want to make sure the situation is right. We want to make sure we own it. We want to make sure we executive
Kids gonna get their checks.
Absolutely. We want to make sure
bonds,
that
some
it's going to be
stocks.
right. You know what I mean? Because this is something that we don't want to play with. We want it to be a great show. We want it to have a little bit of drama, but we want it to teach people. You know, like one thing the Huxtables did and the Cosby Show did, whether you liked it or loved it, at the end of it, there was always something positive that
Yes.
taught.
There's something to aspire to.
Right. But it was fake. But this is going to be real.
It's gonna be real fake.
shit.
It's gonna be real.
I ain't
Because
gonna say
when
real
you know
fake.
reality TV, they still do stage a couple of things.
No, that's not gonna be
They're
fake.
not gonna do like that.
Not
Okay,
for
you know how
us.
T.I.
Because
be
then
like,
it's pointless.
Okay.
Like, if you do that, it's pointless.
It's
Like,
gonna
why
be-
do it?
Yeah, it's going to be scripted to a point where, let's say, see, for me, I know how to do radio.
Right.
So I wouldn't necessarily tell them what we're talking about, but I might throw in shit just to get reactions. You know what I mean? Like, my daughter who goes to predominantly white school and having to deal with Trump and how that
I
has
love you
affected
guys.
her. Like, that would be something we would talk about. The sex conversation would be something that we talk about. I mean, us arguing and dealing with our arguments would be something that we talk about. The kids taking side, or like we play Monopoly as a family, and Monopoly is real.
I like the game of life. I don't know. I'm weird.
No, when I say real, I mean like nobody talking to each other, like real.
No, for real. He's
Real,
not even
like
playing.
real, like So
You know what I don't like about Monopoly? Like, how do you end it? It's like, you just keep going around. Like, is there a time?
When you
how do
own
you
all the
guys do
property.
it?
when
Like,
you own all the properties.
And the other person has
That's why we ready to go to
opportunity to
sleep.
make any more money.
I'd be like, it's an hour, right? We gonna play for an hour?
You know what? Thinking of something you just said, Emmy, struck me. How did you know personally how to like strike a lot of deals? Like how you make, like with the Breakfast Club, moving over from Hot 97. Like how did you know, like, what you were worth, or how to do?
Did you have a business advisor?
No, well, I did,
Okay.
and she's next to me right now.
Yeah, girl, I'm gonna hug you. You his everything. His first, second, first and a half.
Ish.
His last, his everything.
I mean, the crazy thing was, a lot of my deals and a lot of the business moves that I made were all on feelings. A lot of it all for lies and just taking a gamble, saying, but most of it was just coming home at night and saying, babe, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think this is worth? What do you think we could get? What do you think I should try for? What do you think I should do? I've never
Y'all
had...
gonna make another baby today. The way she looking at you, I'm here for this. Love.
It's the truth.
6 on its way.
She has, yes.
I've never had a business manager. I've never had a real attorney that really went through my deals. It was never that. It was always based on me and then closing the deal.
But the reason why I say that for is because in this day and age, like say iHeart reaches out to you at this time years ago, right? And there's only so many people could go and ask their advice that maybe that you look up to, because then you're breaking news of something, and then they may know too much. You don't want everyone to know your business, so you may not reach out to a lot of people, and you may not know to go and rate for certain things. It's like. Because you struck a couple of good deals in your life,
Right.
that really have set you up, and it's great to see. Like, even moving from Hot 97, you think about it. You were just doing like the new at 2.
The new it too, yeah.
I mean, what else? Just like during the week or holidays spending over there.
It was I did the morning show with Miss Jones.
No, that was
I
yeah, but
love
that was.
And then when Miss Jones left, I started doing the new it too. But even with that, I didn't really want to go to Power 105.
Yeah.
I was using Power 105 as leverage to get more money for Hot 97.
Yeah.
And then when when Hot 97 basically said they couldn't match what Power 105 was offering, I left. And I was scared as shit.
Yeah.
You know, it was at the time it was a sinking ship.
Yeah.
And you know, when I left, my wife was like, "Well, you know what you got to do? You got to work your ass off."
Yeah.
And I signed my first Power 105 deal with no lawyer.
Yeah.
Just pretty much just signed a deal. But I knew, and this is to this day, I don't think there's anybody out there as far as a DJ or as far as in this industry that does what I do that can outwork me.
Yeah.
Like, I take it serious.
Sleeping on the couch.
I sleep on the couch. I sleep at the station. I sleep in flights. I do what I got to do to get it done, and I never turn anything down, you know, to the point where my wife sometimes is like, "Babe, you need a nap?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'll nap later." Like, that's how I honestly
feel. Like your eyes are bloodshot.
Even this week, I've been working so crazy, I still haven't slept. I've been running around like a madman, you know what I mean? But it just doesn't stop. And it won't stop because I still have fun.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, I still like...
And you're seeing the fruits of your labor.
Right. And what most people don't know, not to cut you off, is, you know how I get inspiration? What we used to do is when we got lazy or bored and tired, we used to drive to the real rich neighborhood.
Yep.
And we used to just drive by and look at all the big mansions.
How much you think that one costs?
And the big houses.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, all right, I'm gonna get that house. Or I'm gonna get that house. And then we'll get back to the house and then we'll plan an attack.
Literally.
And
as
then,
soon as we got back to the house.
And then we work. And then maybe 2 years later, we get a little lazy and comfortable. I'm like, babe, let's take a ride. And then we drive by another group of mansions and be like, I want that one. And that's what inspired us to really just keep moving and keep going. And every time we get a little lazy or a little comfortable, we'll go to a neighborhood and go look.
Hey, listen, that's inspiring. I mean, and plus in Jersey, man, I'm sure you talk about Jersey. There's
Jersey and Long Island.
There's Long Island, yeah. Long Island is so fucking far, man. But Jersey is, I mean, there's so many like places. I didn't even know how many mansions there were.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so many beautiful, and you get a lot of bang for your buck, man.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we moved to Jersey.
Yeah.
Because what you can get in Long Island versus what you can get in Jersey, the same amount of money.
It's insane.
It's like you can get a split level on a postage stamp or a little mini mansion on 2 acres.
With a diving board on the ground pool. You know, going back to Power 105. I remember, like, when that just happened, I remember somebody saying, like, that, like, not that you're the creator of Breakfast Club, but they approached you to make this team happen. Is that any truth to that?
Yeah. Well, they Cadillac Jack at the time, the program director, approached me, and I was doing afternoons. And they wanted to revamp the morning show and wanted to make it, younger.
Who was on it before?
Fresher. It was Ed Lover.
Okay.
And he asked me would I do it, and I was like, fuck no, I ain't doing it. And he said, why not? I said, honestly, I'm doing afternoons. It's not that much pressure. Nobody's on my ass. It's an easy show. I'm kind of just letting the music go, doing my new it to my mix, shouting out my clubs, and I'm going home. And he was like, all right. He was like, well, what happened if I double your salary?
Oh.
And I was like, nah, fuck no. And he was like, well, what about if I triple your salary? And I was like, let me ask my wife. And, and we talked about the pros and the cons, and then we was like, all right. And then he was like, I want to build a team around you. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He was like, well, I want to build a team around you. I want to get some people around you. First I have this guy, Charlemagne, who was with Wendy Williams' sidekick. He just lost his job in Philly. I think he'd be a perfect fit. And I was like, I don't know about that. I was like, the man been fired 3-4 times, and he's kind of it makes me kind of nervous. And he was like, well, he's been sending me these skits. I've been talking. I think he would be a perfect thing. And I was like, well, who else? And he was like, well, Angela Yee, she worked at Sirius Radio. Her contract's up. I think that, we can build this around you. You're from New York. And the only thing that I didn't want to do is I didn't want to make it my show. And the reason I didn't want to make it my show is I felt like a couple reasons. One, if it failed, it was all on me.
Right.
And it would be hard to go back to 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
But if it failed and it wasn't my show, it could be like, all right, peace. I can go back and do my thing. And 2, I wanted the three of us to feel invested into the show. If we all own a third, or we're all a third of what's on that billboard, it makes people feel differently when they approach a show. Now it's not this person in the morning with this. No,
right.
It's all 3 of us. That marquee is all 3 of us regardless. If I do a show in Africa, it's DJ and me from the Breakfast Club. If Charlemagne does a show in, Connecticut is Charlamagne from the Breakfast Club. If Angela Yee does a show, it's Angela Yee from the Breakfast Club, and that worked. And, that was the best thing. And then, we've been rocking ever since.
Yeah. What was your first thought of Angela Yee when you did work with her?
I was nervous with Charlamagne and Angela Yee. I was nervous with Charlamagne because I know he's been fired a couple of times. And, radio is so sensitive that you could say one thing and been fired.
Sure.
And with Angela Yee, what made me nervous at first was she came from Sirius Satellite Radio. You can curse. You can say what you want to say. There is no rules and regulations. And now you kind of got to be the hall monitor. You have to make sure she doesn't say anything too sexual or a curse. You have to make sure Charlamagne doesn't say anything that's too far. So, those were my biggest fears, because, you get a fine and you're off the radio.
Right.
You know how they talk about like podcast beef, and then I talk about radio beef, and they talk about, it's so funny when they say that.
Beef?
Yeah, it's no. They say that. They say that. They say that. What you guys are doing, I don't think you'll have any podcast beef.
Hopefully,
but
not.
they're they say that shit because
Side
people
chicks
try
might
to
come for
compete
you.
with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, what the fuck were we just saying?
You said
Podcast beef.
Oh, radio beef.
Right.
Right? You think about it. Now you think about Hot 97. And you think about, people left, people like yourself, you move on. I mean, have you ever spoke to Flex ever again?
Yeah, actually, me and Flex speak we speak often.
But, I'm glad that you and Flex are speaking because I know, it's funny. I remember being in certain clubs or bars in Jersey. I was in this one in Jersey, and I remember he after you left, and I think that he was DJing before you, or you were in there, and he was like, DJ Envy, what up? And it's like kind of like, like in the crowd, but it was like you could tell that, like, I don't know, did you ever have that type of tension when you left? And
Me and Flex, when I was at Hot, we never kind of got along, and I think that was because I was under Clue, and he had his whole thing, and we spoke, and it's I think we have the same energy right now as far as New York music and breaking more New York artists and acts and pushing New York back to the place where it was. So, I mean, I think all the DJs in New York City right now have a great relationship. I mean, now if you look on flyers, you will see a DJ from one station DJing with another DJ from another station, and you wouldn't see that a couple of years ago. So I think that's amazing because at the end of the day, my biggest thing is, if you break it down to department stores, you could work for Macy's and I could work for Neiman Marcus. That doesn't mean we can't have drinks after we finish, working.
Right.
And that's where radio was. And I think it's at a great place now where we can actually help New York artists and break New York acts.
I don't think the hot kids still talk to y'all though. Like, I think that even on Love and Hip Hop, they have Drewski and they have have Self. They never film together or tape together. Like, it's still a separation. I still don't feel it. Like, even at Agenda, there was somebody, like a couple of people from Hot, and like it wasn't like they were mingling or coming to check out the juices with you and Angela. Like, they're still kind of like closed off.
No, there's a couple people that I speak to, and there's a couple people that I don't like. Juanito was there at Agenda. That I spoke to him.
He's a good dude.
Rosenberg, me and him don't really rock with each other. He says a lot of slide shit. I'm cordial, but I don't really fuck with him. I don't really fuck with Ebro. Just a lot of the slide shit.
You know what's crazy? I got to cut you off. With Hot 97, right? You think about it. iHeartRadio is in all these fucking, markets, right? Hot 97 is in how many markets?
2.
I think they have 2 stations, one in LA, one in New York.
What's that?
But there's only one in New York.
But what I'm saying is, why not? Like, it's crazy because like what you're saying is right. Like, we do what we do, you do what you do. And if I'm cool with you, I'm cool with you. But as far as ratings, I mean, could they ever catch up?
I mean, they honestly, the funny thing about that is we don't look at them as competition.
Yeah, well, they do,
and that's not a stab or a thing. We're in 80 markets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
plus weekends.
They doing that same thing Angela did when they start dropping them accolades.
Yeah.
Like,
now we're in 80 markets. So I mean, our competition is really ourselves.
Yeah.
Every show that we do, we try to do a show better than the day before.
Most definitely.
So when we compare shows, we compare the day before. We don't really look at them as competition.
Right.
And if they look at us as competition, that's great. But not for nothing, what the Breakfast Club has done for radio
and online,
especially in New York,
should be something. It should be something that people look up to. And I'm not saying that because I'm on the Breakfast Club, because radio was dead. and we kind of gave it a energy and a different life and a different juice, which I think is dope, which is going to open the doors for people that come after us. You know, like I can never shit on Steve Harvey or Elvis Duran or Howard Stern or Ricky Smiley or Tom Joyner. Like, they open the doors for us to do what we're able to do. You know what I mean? And Eric, I was going to say Eric, Ed Love and Dr. Dre, like, they open those doors. You know, so you can never be mad at that. And we're not shitting on anybody. We're just being real. It's like we don't come on there gossiping. We just being honest and being real. So it's like what we're doing and us being able to get those markets. Like, there should be somebody else right now to be like, you know what? My goal is I want to do radio. I want to do that, because radio was dead. People were signing radio off, and you know, we were able to kind of jumpstart it back up.
Sure, trying to go online. You know, that's where I feel like podcasts were created, because people wanted to hear, you know, what they're doing. But, you know, I will say this, podcast is amazing now that you're in it, because I remember listening to one of your episodes and you did an ad for Blue Apron, I believe. Right. And it's funny, and you think about it, and this is somebody who's been in the business for a long time doing ads. Right. When could you ever do an ad where you were telling your wife, you were like, I'm going to cook for you naked tonight and use Blue Apron. Do you want some special seasoning? Yeah. What do you fucking think, you're Salt Bay? But here's the thing. You would never be able to do that on radio.
Nah, never. But you know what, too, with the podcast,
and not that there's nothing wrong.
It's free, but it's honest. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to cook for my wife on Valentine's Day, I'm going to cook for her naked. Yeah. And I'm going to put some sauce in. I might drop my balls in the pot and say, baby, there's some special sauce. Yeah. That's just what we do.
And that's what he's serving up.
Well, speaking of Valentine's Day, it just passed. What do you guys think are some great, like, gifts? Because I always think it's hard to think of a gift for a guy, especially.
It depends on your situation with that guy or with that girl.
Is there, like, a time frame you think, like, if you've been with a guy for a month, should you get him a gift? Or
you know,
girl
it's
for
funny.
a month?
I just had a conversation with a girlfriend who's only been with this guy for a month. But I think that for her, he's the one. Okay. Like, the way that she talks about him to me is so different than the way she's talked about anybody else. And he's checking all of those boxes. So she asked me, do you think that I should get him a gift? Right. And I said, it's a little early for a monetary gift. I said, but what you can do is hand make him a card, and inside hand make gift certificates for free services from you, because they're already they're already sexually active. So give him a gift certificate for a massage. Give him a gift certificate for a free BJ. Give him a gift certificate for a free BJ in the car. Give him a gift certificate for BJ all these different things. I said, but it's going to be sweet if you hand make it or make it creative online and then hand make the card and then give it to him.
I want that for Valentine's
You're not
Day.
saying that it's too, you know, it's not too involved. It's not like, oh, she just got me a sweater and that took no thought, or she just got me some cologne because it was on sale at Bloomingdale's. Right. No, give him something that you put time into it. Like, do you know what I mean?
That's dope.
So I think that the gift that you give should be appropriate for what kind of relationship and how long you've been together.
Hey, listen,
and what you can afford.
Handing receipts like that is dope. By the way, I'll hand it. I want to cash in this blowjob right here.
Right. I would wait till she's pissed off at me and mad. I want this BJ right now.
Yeah, here you go.
Here you go. Take that.
But you like angry sex.
I do. I love it.
Hey, listen, you don't have 5 kids for no reason. Now, 5 kids. What's their names?
Okay, so we have a 15-year-old girl named Madison, a 13-year-old boy named Logan, a 3-year-old girl named London, a 2-year-old boy named Jackson, and a 5-month-old named Brooklyn.
Holy shit! God, if you ever was separated child support, man, I wouldn't know you no more, MV, man.
You know what? Whatever happened, she would deserve it.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I know. Years ago, when you know, because I've been paying child support for 15 years, and you know, I remember years ago it was a lower percentage, but I think like 2 kids were like 29% of your salary at that time. 2 kids, and I know it's got to be more. So 5 kids. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is the biggest struggle you face in your marriage, like to keep it together? I'm just asking from a single lady who's just like,
that's
you know,
a good
like
question.
Oh, that's easy for me. I mean, I think it's honesty.
That's a struggle?
Yeah.
Being honest is a struggle?
That might
For
be
me,
yeah.
What are you talking about? Oh, this is good. I'm glad you asked that question.
Now, you know why? Because it's like, it's certain things that, I mean, I think our relationship got better actually in the last year. in 2 years. And I think reason being is we were honest. We were having and communication.
Right.
And the reason is we had communication and we were talking. The one thing I would say about this podcast is it's helped our relationship even more.
It's like going to counseling.
It's like going to
He
counseling.
says
It's
that.
like therapy.
It's therapeutic.
Because it's now we're talking, and we're talking not to win. We're talking to have a conversation. So we're able to talk about things that we necessarily might not have agreed about, or might
we
have
might
a
not
problem
have
about.
talked about
We might not have
before.
talked about before. We get in depth. So now I'm really able to, instead of just saying, all right, you win, I apologize, just to close the argument, I'm really understanding why she did that or why she said that.
Because
Or
he's listening with a different set of ears.
absolutely. So that was kind of what made the relationship better. It's just that honesty and communication. And that was the struggle with me because I just didn't want to argue. I'm a guy. I don't want to fucking
Okay, I
argue.
understand what
I
you're
don't
saying.
want to fucking
Yeah.
argue. But now with this, it's like I'm understanding this is not an argument. This is, okay, we'll say what you feel. Oh, all right. Well, that's the reason why. And I think after learning that and really sitting down and listening and not trying to take the easy way out, it's benefited our relationship a whole lot.
Do you feel like that shift happened after you guys kind of went through something public and you had to like publicly apologize and then kind of like talk to her? Was that kind of like the door that opened you to start being more honest?
It was the start of the door opening.
Right.
But, it's kind of like you put your foot in hot water. You don't just jump in. You kind of just put your pinky toe in and see how it's going to
See
be
what it
first.
is, right.
So you throw a little honesty out and be
Right.
like, let me see how it comes back. And then you realize, like, that's what she wants as well.
Right.
And I think going through trials and tribulations and going through what we went through, it was kind of like it opened up the door to be honest. It kind of gave us a clean slate where it's like, nigga, you fucked up.
Right.
You told me everything. Now let's start over and make this relationship really work. Where I'm able to say, you know what, baby, I feel this way about this.
Right.
I don't like when you do this. And then she could be like, well, I don't like when you do this. And well, let's talk about it. And then we can have grown men talk. Oh, not grown men
Well,
talk,
grown,
but
grown,
grown
people,
folk
grown,
talk.
grown folk, grown folk,
grown folk talk.
grown folk.
And I'm not a talker, which is crazy because I do radio every day.
You're a Virgo.
But
I
I'm not
think
a,
that's probably the reason why you don't.
Yeah, don't talk. I
Right.
Like,
agree.
He's a
over
Virgo. Think
talk.
about Michael Jackson or Beyonce. At home, they're closed and no one knows. But when the lights go on, them lights hit you, envy.
Yeah.
but that's what it is.
But you know what?
The look on your face.
I do want to ask Gia a question, and I do want to give you a lot of credit, Envy. And I've told you this before. I'll be honest with you. Honestly, and I mean this from the heart. When you went through that situation, honestly, he came on the Combat Jack show. I don't know if you ever heard that episode.
I didn't hear the episode, but I heard about it.
And it was one of the most, honestly, I admire that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I fucked up in my life. And as men, we make mistakes. And came very clean about it. Was very honest about it. And I admire you, too, for sticking together. Okay, let me explain to you. My mother and father went through a similar situation. And my mother had done the same thing. And they got stronger than ever. And, I'm happy they didn't never, because I didn't want to see them break. And, she had sat me down one day and explained to me that people make mistakes, things happen, but the journey is longer than this.
Right.
And honestly, some people may look at it or maybe look at you different, or maybe sometimes some of your friends get in ears. Not
Do
saying
your friends bother you about this?
No.
Or like
My friends would
you don't
never.
seem like the type to even
No,
be
but
like
friends, you know how
discussing
friends-
with them too much
Well,
anyway.
People have
you're
opinions to
exactly
many.
right.
Yeah.
I've always been the type of person that I deal with my stuff myself. I can honestly say that I cannot remember ever picking up the phone to call a friend to ask them their opinion about anything that
Yeah, you
had
guys,
to do with my
y'all don't
relationship.
feel like that.
If there's a situation, I'm open-minded enough and reasonable enough and honestly smart enough to figure it out on my own. Not to say that help from friends hasn't benefited me, because my friends do know that
Sure.
about me. And when we were going through that particular situation, that we had a friend who is one of my very best friends, and his wife is my other best friend, that inserted themselves in my life in a way that was so significant, and it benefited us, and it ultimately kind of saved my marriage. But I rejected it at first. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want
Right.
anybody's advice. Leave me alone. I'm closing the curtains. I will figure this out.
I mean, I didn't hear the episode, but did you go there kind of like, I'm going to like fix this by publicly
What you mean? Combat Jack?
Yeah, because I heard it on the Breakfast Club.
Right.
So you went on a world tour. So did you know that you were kind of gonna like publicly let her know? Was that kind of like part of like the healing for you guys?
Well, Combat Jack was kind of like he got it like a bonus.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is I planned to do his podcast beforehand.
Okay.
So it was like just perfect timing for him. And I was just real. I was just 100% real how I felt and what I felt about the industry. And, I talk about this a lot with Giz. Like, one thing that my dad never taught me is he never taught me how to love a woman. So, I didn't really find a definition of love until a lot later, because I can say, yeah, baby, I love you with all my heart. But, do you love somebody that you cheat on and you treat them like that?
Right.
Is that a true definition of love? No. But you say love so fast and you think you know what love is that you honestly don't know. So you really have to learn the definition of love.
Right.
And even with my kids, I have to teach them what the definition of love is. You know what I mean? So for me, for going on that show, me just talking about certain situations and getting it off my chest, yeah, it was beneficial to me. But besides that, it's beneficial to a lot of other people out there
fact.
that's going through the same problems and same troubles and everything.
Do you feel like if it was in reverse, you could like forgive her the way she forgave you?
That's a good question. I can sit here and say yes all day, but that's a tough question. Yeah, I think I can, but the only problem is the way that it happened. Now I can say yes.
Right.
But the way that it happened is a little different because I don't know if you believe in God. Or
that's my publicist. That's why you here.
But everything that happened was like God was giving us signs. Gia's best friend that she talked about that actually helped us during that time didn't like me and was her best friend.
The guy.
The guy.
He always been hating on you since the 22 years, or did
Always.
y'all?
Was that the swimmer?
Because
Was
he
that the
likes you.
swimmer?
No. He's actually my other best friend's husband.
Girl,
them as a
she
couple.
came after?
No. Mm-mm. I met him through her. She's my best friend, and they're the only couple that we know that's been together longer than us.
I'll take
and they're
it.
two people of God, and they're very enlightened.
So he kind of was being
spiritual.
kind of judgmental because of DJ Envy, so he didn't.
No, just he didn't like how I wasn't a good person. Just the way I treated her, the way I talked to her, the way I was.
Because how you had the separation between the two
Right.
wives.
Well, no,
Right.
Specifically, it wasn't the way you treated me or how you talked to me. He specifically didn't like that Rashawn was so jealous, obsessive, and controlling.
He don't even let a biddy
at the
box.
time.
He's
at
still
the time.
like that.
And he was worried that one day it could really go wrong because he thought Rashawn was too controlling. So that's what he didn't like about you. Because I have to say, you diminish the way that you were at the time, but you were very loving and you were very sweet and affectionate and compassionate and generous and a lot of other adjectives I could throw in there. You were those things.
Right.
Are you cool with this guy now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He's his best friend now, too.
But to go back to it.
Oh, you don't work together.
Yes.
But to what
He
happened,
better be after what he saved.
Best friend.
After what he saved.
But when he heard me on the radio, he called me and reached out to me.
Yeah.
And I know he didn't like me.
Was that on a impulse, or did you plan that?
The radio?
Yeah.
No, that was impulse.
Okay.
That was just straight from the
He
heart.
was going.
Okay.
You could tell he was.
No, but sometimes you double dutch before you do something. Like I might go.
No,
I'm not.
I'm
Okay,
saying that
no,
stretch.
so
I'm saying that stretch of time.
Oh,
I
yeah.
could tell
Nah,
that he was going.
That was absolutely positively real. I mean, during that time, I was fucked up. When I say fucked up,
Yeah.
I lost my MTV job. I almost lost the power job. I could not work. You know what I mean? When it's like
Lovesick.
your everything is like, nigga, I'm out.
It's a
Yeah,
wake
you're
up call.
lovesick.
It's like
call.
it was just, you were just going through the motions. Like, I'm at work, just what up, y'all? It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne. You know,
I do
I was
remember
fucked
that.
up.
I do.
So it was really bad, and it was like I done lost business and sponsorships. I lost so much, but it was none of that. So when he called me and was like, yo, and we started having a conversation, he was like, yo, all right, I'm gonna be on the next flight. He lives in LA. He was like, I'll be on the next flight there. And I was like, well, you got work. He's like, don't worry about work. He was like,
He's
God.
an attorney.
He was like,
in
God.
the middle of a case.
He was like, God is sending me here to do this, so I'm coming. And I'm like, and I was a believer of God, but you can say you're a believer, but not to that capacity. Yeah. So now you have a man that is leaving his family in LA, leaving his business, and saying, I'm gonna live with y'all for 2, 3, 4 weeks till y'all get your shit together. And then you got an R&B artist named Tyrese that heard it on the radio and called me out the blue. I had no relationship with Tyrese. I didn't even know him. He called me and was like, yo, I felt you. I want to help you. And now he became like a big brother. So now I had two big brothers that were kind of helping us and counseling us and talking to us and, you know, going through everything with us as we were going through all of this.
Right.
That kind of
And
that
both
helped.
of them with the message that God sent them to
Right,
do
because
that.
you know that Tyrese hanging out Rev Run.
Yes.
So that's
yes.
because Rev couldn't get out the tub. He like, listen, done saw some things.
Right.
You gotta go.
No, you know, I think it's honestly, you know, I want to go back to saying my mother and father because I want to, you know, and I'm sure there's definitely different races, you know, and definitely different cultures. But Italians, you think about it. My grandmother, before my grandfather passed away, married 77 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's crazy. I've been to what's that called? The Golden Anniversary 50. Golden.
Yep.
I've been to like 6, 7 of them. Wow. But what I'm trying to say is that doesn't mean they were all in love. Italian women just dealt with that shit.
Right.
A lot of the men just went out and did whatever the fuck they want, and they
Right.
just shut the fuck up.
Right.
So when I see something like this, even though he made a mistake, and I mean me being a man and understand, I don't understand your hurt, but I admire that you guys stuck together.
Me too.
And really just said, you know what, you know, it's a bump in the road, but we're gonna make the best of it, and we're gonna do, you know. And I really admire that because it's real. It's not like the Italian, like I was telling you, or these people that just stuck together because they stuck together.
Yeah, no.
You guys worked through it and actually
we
like
would've
got
never
better
done that.
because
And
of it.
continue to still work through
Yeah,
it. Continue to still
because
talk.
it is. It's a
Be
process.
better. Yeah, absolutely.
Gia, as a woman, because I know I'm a little petty. I'm not going to even lie. How do you maintain? Because I feel like when you forgive somebody, you really need to forgive wholeheartedly and not bring it back up. How do you keep from not, you know, having...
Forget about that, not bringing that back up.
still-
Like that's
right.
a myth. That's BS.
Okay.
A person has to
You're a gift
heal.
from God.
Okay.
Man.
A person has to heal.
Absolutely.
And I was in a space where I will bring it up
Whenever
as
I feel like
much
it.
as I feel
Right.
the need to do. Period. And if you want to be part of this, then you're going to talk about it every time. Because believe me, when I first found out, like, I understood why it happened.
Right.
It made sense. He was kind of in the perfect storm of things when you think about it. He was young and completely inexperienced when we got together. Then we went to college together. Well, first we went to high school together. Then we went to college together. We got married like a year and a half out
You
of
went to Temple
college.
as well?
No. He went to Hampton. I went to Old Dominion
Oh, sorry, I said
University,
Temple, sorry.
which is about 15 minutes
Got
away.
you.
So we saw each other every day in college. We lived together in college.
Right.
Then we got married. We started a family at 22 and 23. We had my first daughter, you know, and then his success began
Picked up.
to grow. And now he's a household name, and, you know, he has groupies and people want him, and
Right.
you know what I mean?
Groupies.
He has this whole fame thing around him, and it was kind of like the perfect storm. Not only that, you're in an industry that not only condones it but promotes
Celebrates
it
it. Yeah,
and gives
celebrate
you a
it.
high
Yeah,
five
celebrate it.
every time that, you know, you're in that type of
Sure.
situation. Then on top of that, you're in the belly of the beast because you're DJing strip clubs where you're surrounded around the people that are encouraging
hoes.
it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he was kind of caught up in the perfect storm.
Right.
And I was intelligent enough to understand that. But at the same time, he always knew what kind of person he was married to. If you do something like this, I'm gone.
No.
Because I'm too proud. I would never accept it. I don't care if I have to cry my head in a pillow every day for the rest of my life. I've always said that that's who I am and that's how I would handle it. That's exactly what I plan on doing. So I said, you know, I understand it. I care about you. I love you to death. But, you know, like,
You know my beliefs.
But we're getting a divorce. So I'm
Right.
calling the lawyer on Monday. So you should call yours. And, you know, it doesn't have to be contentious. We can, you know, get them
civil,
together,
figure it out.
figure everything out. And, like, you can still come by, you know.
kept it real
and he was looking at me like,
With your new pajamas on and your new lipstick.
exactly. He was looking at me like,
And it's crazy. It's crazy because in a New York minute or a New Jersey minute, everything changes. I remember having that conversation like that, you know, in certain similarities in when I was married first time, and just like saying, "Oh shit, I'm going to be on the outside looking in instead of being on the inside looking out," and that fucking quick.
oh yeah. And he knew I was serious. I was not.
Right.
I've never been the type to bluff about anything. Like, if I'm telling you this is exactly what I intend on doing. And that was the plan, and that's how we were moving for weeks. And at the time, everything just started deteriorating because he couldn't handle it. And it became a poison in our house and a poison to our kids because we couldn't contain it and just keep it between the two of us because the emotions on his end particularly were just spilling over.
Sure.
Right.
And that's why I think that God stepped in and said that because I believe it was his will, I'm going to put people in your life. And he didn't just put people in my life. He put the only person that, besides my parents, my mother has dementia, my father passed away. So he put the only person in my life. He inserted that person because he knew that that person is the only person that could have had any impression on me.
Right.
So his name is Rashid, and I've always admired him because he's a genius. You know, he got accepted to every Ivy League school that he applied to. When he was in college, he was working for NASA. When he didn't know he didn't know if he wanted to be a doctor or an attorney. He took the MCATs and the LSATs that got accepted to medical school and law school, and then tried to figure it out. So this is someone that I admired, that I looked up to, and he's the one that God said, I'm going to put this person in your life to save your marriage because he's the only person that can have an impression on you. He's the only person that you respect. And that person came and stayed with us until he made an impression. And then he sends Tyrese, who neither of us even halfway knew.
Head shining like a motherfucker.
Just in case.
Yes. And they both, when I asked both of them, well, why would you do this? Like, why would you take off of work in the middle of a case, fly out here? You live in LA. Tyrese, why would you do this? You don't even know his real name.
Right.
Like, and you're here and you're trying to mentor us and explain to me why men cheat, why this, why that, why. And both of them said the same exact thing, like in the same verbiage, everything. They both said, because God sent me here to do this. And at that point, I had to take it all in and realize, okay, I'm going to submit to this. And it wasn't just those two things. It was a series of other things, but I wasn't a person that believed in signs. I wasn't a person that prayed that real prayer. That, you know, I prayed the generic prayer. Thank you, God. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my children. I hope that I'm deserving of all of my blessings. I said a generic
you didn't
prayer.
Testify.
All of these things happened, I believe, because we needed to be brought closer to God as individuals, as a married couple, and then we needed to extend that to our children and become closer to God as a family. And I think that that's why we were brought to our knees, so that at some point we had to look up and acknowledge him and acknowledge what he is and his position in a family. In my like, that's the people come up to me ever since we started doing the podcast, and they would say to me, what's the best piece of advice that you can give somebody that's, you know, married or contemplating marriage? And I would always say, you have to have God in your marriage. If you're a God-fearing person, if you believe in God, if that's your thing, you have to have God in your life. He has to lead your marriage. And people ask me, usually my DMs, because nobody's really brave enough to ask me to my face.
Slide in the DMs.
But nobody's brave enough to ask me to my face. But, you know, do you ever worry about your husband cheating again? And I said, well, if he cheats on me, he has bigger fish to fry than me. He has to worry about God.
Sure.
Because he pledged all types of things to God and begged God and made promises to God to save this marriage. So I don't have to worry about his allegiance to me. As long as I know he has an allegiance to God.
Exactly.
That's why God has to come first in your marriage.
You know, when we started this episode and as we end it, you know, when we started this episode, I explained how you guys became professionals, you know, because you have 5 kids, because you're married for so long, right? And I'll be honest with you, even with that situation you're talking about, you like experience is a history book.
Absolutely.
And you could learn. So like I remember someone telling me, why would I take advice from you about marriage? You've been divorced. I said, because I can tell you what not to do.
Right.
You know, like people look for success to be glittery. Right. And it's not always glittery, and there's bumps, and there's a lot of stuff in the road. But before we end the episode, we have a segment called I Don't Trust People. And hold on one second. So, internet, you know how to get involved. Every week we have a hashtag I Don't Trust People. It's who you don't trust, what you don't trust. People submit they submit that. So, who we got this week?
Our first submission.
Hold on. I felt a little choked up after we had this conversation. See, because I gotta let the internet know that. Hold up, because I'm really excited to see that you guys have powered through that.
That's a
It
fact.
means a lot.
Thank
It means a lot.
you.
That's a fact.
Real talk. I think it shows people there's more than just, like there's more than just
Surface stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Who we got this week?
Our first submission comes from F_podcast. I don't trust people who pour the milk before the cereal.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. I can never ever deal
I've
with
done that
anybody.
before. I like to do weird things.
Yeah, but then
and
it
I'm gonna
spills
throw
all
a
over
piece
the
of
place.
ice in it. No, it don't.
Yeah.
You gotta perfect that.
Depends what type of cereal. If you have Cookie Crisp and you put that in after you pour the milk.
See, now I don't
it
know
will
which
spoil
cereal.
all-
I'm pouring like the Smacks or something.
Well,
It was
hold on.
alright.
Think about it, right? If you pour the milk first and then the cereal, you try to get one spoon to get a turn on that, it's all over the place.
I never thought about it.
I don't trust that person either.
Yeah, me
that
neither.
does that.
Don't talk about me like I've done it before. I don't do it all the time. Or what about when you being extra greedy and you finish the bowl and you like, you know what? One more. And then you re-pouring. So it happens. Even paternity test is 99.9. It's always at 1%.
No problem. Internet, try it and then watch what
Don't
happens.
try, but if you being greedy, it's okay. You don't have to pour the milk out and re-pour. Our next submission comes from Jay McLovin. I don't trust people who sag their pants so low that the thigh meat under their boxers show. Pause.
That's
Thigh
awful.
meat under the
Hey, that's a little. I don't
That's
trust them
awful.
either.
Where you at? You in the orgy? You being funny?
Hey, listen, I think we live in a world where people don't want to have their pants too tight, but not too baggy. And I understand that's a world that we live in today. Except for the old school cats. They still keep
Extra
it super,
baggy.
I
super
don't
baggy.
trust that person because they're just stupid.
Yeah, I don't even
'Cause they
like
can't,
that.
They can't even walk.
You still sagging, Envy?
I don't sag. I mean,
Yeah, I
don't
think
sag my
the sag is.
No, you
it's
don't
done.
sag. You can always see your underwear, but it's not an intentional sag.
But but
Unintentional
there's people that
sag.
go very far.
Right.
That
know?
person where you can see the bottom of their boxers and then the thigh meat, like they can't walk properly.
well,
so I
just
definitely don't
take
trust
They
them.
ain't going nowhere. They
pants.
hugging the block, girl. They standing on the counter
They don't got nowhere to go.
at all.
Okay.
Don't worry. Our next one comes from IM_Rels. I don't trust people who pick up chips or any finger foods with their hands, especially if a napkin is right next to it.
You don't trust me.
Well, I don't trust
me
him
either.
because that's stupid too.
Who house you at?
See, you don't have to trust
You don't
everybody.
pick
This
up
is what it
finger
is.
foods with
Yeah.
your fingers.
You want
If
napkin
pick up a-
food.
If you pick you want napkin.
You want napkin
food.
food.
First of all, tell them to get the fork out of here, okay?
I'm gonna pick up a Lay's with a fork or a
What's
spoon.
going
Come
on?
on. Makes no sense.
No.
You lying. Do you guys have any? What about you, Gia?
It's something you don't trust. It could be a place or a thing. Like I always tell people like, I don't trust mechanics or I don't trust, banks or
I don't trust fast talkers.
Okay.
I don't trust people that underestimate me
You better talk that talk, girl.
and tell you something for the sake of impressing you or to just leave an impression. And I smile and nod because I want them to keep going.
Exactly.
because at that point I'm being entertained and I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, you have no idea how utterly transparent you are right now.
I love you.
But
you guys are great.
I'm like, really? And then what happened? And
Tell me more,
Then I
girl.
get to come home and tell him about it. I don't trust those people.
You should.
I don't trust people who run to social media when they going through something. Do you not have friends? You can't call your mother. You mad. Now you on Instagram talking about, oh, this nigga ain't shit. But then 2 days later, you taking a picture of him with the baby talking about, I'm going to always encourage this. Girl, you lying.
But you can't trust that person.
I don't
'cause they
trust
can't
her.
keep anything to themselves.
I don't trust her.
So no, of course you can't trust
I don't
them.
trust her.
Sounds like Facebook. That's why I stay off of it.
All on Facebook, trying to get parenting help. If you don't Google that shit, you asking people how you get rid of
On
colic.
Instagram.
Why you asking Facebook how to get rid of colic, girl? Like,
People change their status too much on Facebook.
you gotta stop.
But listen, internet, you know how to get involved. Hashtag I don't trust people on Twitter. Fill it up, at the Premium Pete Show, at Miss Lissa Knows, at Premium Pete. Let us know who you don't trust, what you don't trust. If it sounds good, it ain't no fuck shit. We'll play it on the next episode. Well, listen, the Casey crew, you did a live show already in Caroline's in New York City, right? It went well. Now you plan on doing more around the world.
Well, you know what? That show just showed that people need something to do outside of the club and outside your typical
They need to get out of the
movie.
house.
So we're gonna do events like that more often. The next event we're doing is in March, and it's a karaoke event, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be
I'm there.
straight
Yeah.
up and down 80s, 90s. Have fun.
Yes.
I'm doing
I'm
Eye of the
there for the
Tiger.
99 and the 2000. I'm there.
There you go. So,
Yes.
so you know,
Rising up.
we,
He ready. Since we coming.
We did a party for one of Gia's friends. Her name is Charisma, and we did Around the Way Girl. We both went back and forth doing it.
Okay.
And it was, I mean, we got over, I think, like 200,000 views on the internet, on my Instagram. So we was like, let's do a party like that.
Okay.
And people like to do stuff like that. Couples night out where you could just have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
It ain't
need
the
to
same
start having
typical
fun.
shit.
You ain't got a cousin or brother. I like light skinned people. I need somebody too. I'm a good third wheel.
I'm my only child. So,
I'm the good third wheel.
So-
Don't forget about Lissa.
So live shows to look out for on Instagram, DJ Envy and Gia. Was it Gia Casey straight up?
Gia
Or-
underscore
Gia
Casey.
Gia underscore Casey. The Casey crew on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, etc. I love the podcast. Continue to grow with it.
Thank you.
Any other things that you got on tap?
No, I mean, I'm sure you will see us on television this year. We don't have announcements to make yet because the ink is still wet. And just look out for us on the podcast, man. We're going to be doing a lot of things with the podcast. We're going to be doing a lot of traveling, hitting up a lot of cities and talking to a lot of people. Breakfast Club is still doing
How many
great.
years is the Breakfast Club?
This is the sixth year.
Sixth year.
We're in over 80 markets every day.
What's the longest running morning show? It's got to be Elvis Duran. And
I'm sure it's Elvis
Right,
Duran.
yeah.
Elvis Duran been rocking about 15 years.
God,
but that's probably
fucking-
Howard Stern.
Yeah, Howard Stern. You're right. Howard
Probably
Stern.
Howard Stern.
But hey,
Still
listen.
count. He's on. He went to Sirius.
They still serious. Still counts though.
Yeah,
Okay.
it still counts.
We
But
talking about terrestrial.
anyway, listen, internet. I love this episode because I knew that it'd be great for people to learn.
Well, thanks for inviting us. We
Yeah,
appreciate
most
it.
definitely.
Thank you
and
so
I really had a
much.
great time. Internet's fuck with the Casey crew. Yo, you gonna bring the kids out for future podcast live shows?
Probably.
Maybe the older ones, if it's a kid-centered topic or
Yeah,
something, we
not
might
this
bring them
one.
in for
Not
their
this one.
expert opinions
Yeah, maybe the
on
next.
things.
Maybe the next one. The next one, maybe. Next one, maybe.
Well,
Okay.
anyway, listen. Shouts to Chris and and the Loudspeakers Network for hounding you and getting you to do that because you needed a podcast like that. Most
Thank
definitely.
you.
Other
Appreciate it.
people do podcasts that are relationship, but you know what I'm thinking? They don't have fucking kids. They don't have fucking
That's a
kids.
fact. That changes everything.
They don't have kids. But anyway, the Casey crew,
That changes
Premium
everything.
Pete Show, Miss Lissa Knows.
Ow.
See you next episode. Cheer.
Cheer.
Thank you, guys.
Internets, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes. Also, rate us on there. Leave a comment. I love looking at the comments. I love when people leave how they feeling about the show.
I'm not reading them comments, but definitely leave them because Pete is going to review. And if you are not feeling something, he going to fix it.
They're not. Listen, if it's good, bad, whatever.
I'm sensitive, Pete.
I know, but listen. I want honesty. Listen, could you believe it? Sometimes people will say, fuck you, Premium Pete. And then sometimes people will appreciate Premium Pete. But the point is this, not everyone's going to like what you do.
Right.
That doesn't make you stop doing what you do.
Okay, so you guys, right now, go to our iTunes. Don't forget about the SoundCloud. And if you don't have neither one of those, I know we're on Stitcher.
Yeah.
We're also Googleable.
Yeah.
So go do that.
Yeah,
Check out the
Google
Premium
Play.
Pete Show.
Google Play.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, we're on the major podcasting platforms, as you say. So get on over there, tell a friend to tell a friend, rate, subscribe, leave a comment. Appreciate you, internets. Cheer.
Ow.